So we've been married for almost 16 years, and in the first year of our marriage, we found a tumor in my wife's abdomen. And when that happened, they were throwing out all kinds of stuff that was kind of scary, words like cancer and the things that freak you out. But it turns out it wasn't cancer, and they were able to remove the tumor very quickly. But what we didn't know is that was kind of like the beginning of a health journey. That was going to be a long health journey for a condition that my wife has, where she just grows these tumors in her abdomen area, and it appears to be her throat area. And they are all very rare tumors. They have all been non-cancerous, but they have all wreaked havoc because of the locations of where they're at. And so it's been a long health journey. It's lasted almost our entire marriage, but I guess if we're going to pick up, we'd have to pick up in our time in Michigan, which is where things kind of got pretty serious, because that tumor came out pretty easily and it was pretty cut and dry. It was scary, but we moved on from it.
Yeah, so the tumors seem to grow through the nervous system, so we never really know where they're going to pop out from. So far, it's just been in random places.
We found two tumors in her neck, one on either side of her neck. And essentially what it ended up being is like the tumors were choking her out, and they were kind of slowly, tumors filled with blood. So like we didn't fully understand this, but like there'd be nights where she'd just be lying down in bed, and because her body went down, the blood would start to rush to her head. And again, we had to learn this, we didn't know this, but she would turn blue and start literally choking. And I thought there's a few times that I thought I lost her, because the tumors literally were growing so fast, they were choking her out, and they would engorge with blood when she would lie down. And it put us on this fast track to like, we got to get these tumors out as fast as possible. And the doctors were, their prognosis wasn't good. What was good is they weren't cancerous. What was bad is that one of the tumors wrapped around her carotid artery completely. And they said that there's no way for us to separate the tumor from the carotid artery, so we need to take out her entire carotid. And so we're gonna go into her thigh and take out some of her artery in her thigh and put it in her neck, remove the whole carotid artery, remove the whole tumor, and attach the new artery and make a new carotid artery. He had never done this surgery. It was around that time that we had actually came to Rock City for the first time and visited as a couple. And I remember asking Rock City to pray with us while we were going through this time. And we put out a video on Facebook just asking people to pray with us, because we knew that we needed prayer. And I remember like it had like 20 or 30,000 views like overnight. People were writing us from all over the world. So they do this first surgery, because remember she had tumors on both sides
Yes.
of her neck. They kept sending doctors, like doctors kept swinging by the room, and they'd be like, we need to come see this miracle girl.
The Lord always has an answer intertwined in it, like for having a spot within the body where you can literally replace a whole artery. There's always ways that the Lord will just like place these answers that are so unexpected, even in the middle of chaos, even in the middle of something hard. After the first surgery, when she comes out of it, we're in emergency mode, so there's not a lot of time to process. She's in recovery mode. And then they come to us, and the doctors say that this second tumor that's on the other side of her neck is going to be even worse. The surgery, and I'm like, how does it get worse than removing your whole carotid and replacing it? They're like, well, this tumor we believe is a glomus vagale tumor, and that is attached to your vagus nerves and is literally interwoven with a bunch of nerves that are in your neck. And if this doesn't work, it's going to impact your ability to swallow, possibly. Half of your face may not work. You may never eat again outside of a feeding tube, or you may ultimately die. So they weren't just preparing us for the possibility of being fed like tube and not being able to speak, not being able to, sing to my girls at night. They were also preparing us for the possibility of the worst thing. So it was like handling not just not being able to do all these things that I love to do, but it was also preparing for the possibility of me not being able to be there for them, not being able to be there on their wedding day, which still hits my heart. Like, it's still something that affects me even today, something that I dreamed about. So because I wanted to be part of those parts of my daughter's life, I wanted to be part of those experiences for them, I created videos. Every single day when Jordan would go to work, I would make these videos for the girls, like just a message, secret messages on boyfriends or first boyfriends, or their first bullying experience, and ways to handle things that I remember handling within my own life. And in each one of those videos, I would do my very best to intertwine the Lord in them too, because I never wanted my girls to blame God for anything that was going on in our life. Like one of the things that we didn't mention in the beginning was how the Lord used these tumors throughout our, not just with the ones in the neck, but the very first one was what helped us have our first daughter even. They found a paraganglioma tumor in my stomach, and I had been told that I wasn't able to have children. And then when we found that paraganglioma, after I was like throwing up randomly, they moved things around in my stomach, and later on, after saying that I wouldn't be able to have children, I was able to have my first child.
Which was
about a year after that.
Yeah.
So the Lord will use something that hurts, that is hard, something that really can challenge you, and he can turn it around for the best gift that you've ever received.
I don't believe God sent these tumors on my wife or sent these trials upon my family. God has used these trials, and he has used them to draw us closer to him, to draw us closer to one another, to unite us as a family, to strengthen us as a family. All this resistance the enemy has thrown at us, God has used it for his glory. The second surgery, and this is where it gets really crazy, the three specialists go into the surgery. They had prepped us for a 12-hour surgery. So I'm sitting there, I'm praying, I'm with one of my best friends, Brant, and we're praying and just asking the Lord, just please show up, intervene. And thousands of people were praying with us. And the head doctor comes out 2.5 hours in to the surgery. And my heart sank to the floor, because I'm like, why is he out here this early? He's not supposed to be out here right now. It's supposed to be a 12-hour surgery. And he comes up to me. And he's like, I don't know what happened. We cut into her and the tumor fell out. I can't believe I'm saying this, but he goes, there's not any scenario we prepared for that could have prepared us for this. This is literally the best case scenario that is possible. We don't understand how this even happened, but the tumor fell into our hands. What was interesting, this is what I was not expecting, is that we experienced the miracle. We experienced what we were praying for. And I was absolutely furious with God. I was angry at the Lord. I was angry that she was having to suffer. I was angry that she was in pain. And I was angry that this was our lot, or my lot, or our family's lot. So I can see now, like on the other side of this, like how selfish that sounds, but that's the reality of like the way I felt. I was dying.
So after the surgery, it didn't actually hit me until later on, everything that had happened. I went from basically everything was to make sure I glorified the Lord. Everything was with that intent. And then I had a hard time. I had been preparing myself for 2 years for the possibility of death, that I hadn't prepared my mind for life itself. And I felt guilt, because I thought that I should just be so thankful that I was alive, that it almost became easy to think, okay, like you're gonna pass away. I had planned it in my head even before the Lord's plan for me. So though I thought I was doing everything right, glorifying him and putting like his name above it all, I caught myself that I was actually planning out what was next in my own life, even knowing that his plans were better than mine. I had a hard time accepting that I was living instead of what I had been preparing myself for, which was death. And I felt guilt. I went to a depressive state. I didn't know how to
How to live again.
Live or manage things. And then on top of the health issues, a lot of things had to change along with it. I couldn't drive. I started passing out. Other challenges had come.
And during that time, they discovered another tumor. This was a whole different situation. Things were actually probably worse than ever because of the passing out, and she was falling, like literally falling around everywhere. It was so intense. So it was an ongoing journey. We were back and forth from MD Anderson in Houston. And no answers from any doctors, and we actually had to find a lot of the answers ourselves and do research and on what to do. And the reality is that tumor is still there. It has not gone away. We are believing for a miracle.
I have to put my trust in the fact that I know that if I go through hard things, he will always be there for me. He never said it was going to be easy, but he said he'd walk with me. And I'd rather walk with him through hard things than walk without him. Yes, he can totally still heal it, but I know that my healing is already coming, whether it be on this earth or in life after in heaven. I know that the healing is coming, and we walk through that faith. And so I continue to say that that healing has already arrived. And I continue to praise the Lord and thank him for the healing, because I can wake up tomorrow morning and be healed. I mean, this testimony is the Lord's testimony. So I just fully put my faith in him, and knowing that somehow it's going to happen, whether it be now or later. It doesn't matter. He will still continue to be glorified in my life.